What's going on? I want to take you guys through the top 5 Fidelity index funds. Now, those of you who are new to investing hear a lot about individual stocks. Now, that's where I started at. And my stocks were up, down, left, right, side to side. It could be for any reason. It could be the CEO said something, did something, or they could have anything can happen. And all of a sudden, sitting in that stock, you may have one good one, and all of a sudden it may be great Monday, and then Tuesday, boom, then 2 weeks, go down, then go up, down, left, right. However, index funds and mutual funds. What is an index fund? An index fund is a portfolio of stocks and bonds designed to mimic the composite performance of a financial market index, the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and they tend to mimic the Dow Jones and the S&P 500. So, index funds have a lower expense and fees than active managed funds. Actively managed funds are mutual funds who are actively managed by a group of professionals who are looking to beat the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ and to go above it. Index funds follow a passive investment strategy. Normally they are not managed and they just follow the Dow Jones or the S&P 500, which is cool and which is great. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Index funds seek to macro-rich the returns of the market, and it's a long-term investment. I know a lot of people are looking to get rich quick. Index funds is usually the safer option. And today, I want to get to how to pick great index funds and the top index funds that I see that are very impressive of 2020. Now, I want to take you guys to the top Fidelity index funds that I think are great. However, if you see Vanguard or Schwab, I think that you guys should go with that brokerage. So if you're going to invest in Fidelity index funds, I think that you should go with Fidelity as a brokerage. Fidelity is a great brokerage. I want to show you guys on how to pick. So now, when you go to Fidelity.com, you want to come into news and research. You want to come down to mutual funds. All right, the first one I'm going to go into is FSMAX. Now, you want to go to Fidelity funds only. Of course, you want the overall ratings. You want that to be high, of course. You want your returns, of course, to be high. You want your expenses to be low. Now, right here has a management approach. Now, if you do active, active is for mutual funds who are a group of professionals who actively manage and trade that index fund. This index fund, this option right here is just index, which is passively. And you see that 4 matches came up. You want to go to view results. As you can see, our top dog is FSMAX. Right? Now, first thing you want to see, mid-cap blend. They give you different options, large cap and a mid-cap. All right, so now, the year to date, 7.5. The 1-year return is 56.23. However, don't get blown away by that number, because if you remember last year was the coronavirus and stocks took a nosedive. And so when they came back up, they're saying from a year to date, it's 56% difference, which everybody went up that high margin because they went down so low. So now look at the 3-year, 18.59. 5-year, 19%. That's very good. 10-year, 13%. Life of the fund, 9.54. All right, so I want to go into the FXMAX. All right, one thing you want to notice about index funds is that they are managed, and you can see an expense ratio of 0.036, which is really, really low. An expense ratio net of 0.036, that is very, very low. That's very good. Turnover ratio, which is 11%, that is very good for an index fund. If you see an expense ratio that's like a 1.3, 1.2, or even a 0.8 or 9, those are very high. Check out the hypothetical growth right here. If you invested $10,000 in 2012, today you would have $35,000. That's what I'm looking at, like, okay, wait a minute. Without doing anything. If you'd have set $10,000 into this index fund and just let it sit, you'll be sitting on $35,000 today. All right? Here go the returns, 56, 18, 19. All right. This is a mid-cap blend. In your portfolio, when you're investing in index funds and mutual funds, you want to normally diversify with a large cap, large growth, mid cap, and a small cap and a small growth. All right. If you look at the fund managers, to know it's an index fund, you'll see the Fidelity International, Fidelity Large Core Index Funds. If it was a mutual fund, you will see individual names of the people who are managing this fund. The top 10 holdings, you can see right here, Uber, Zoom, and a mid cap fund. What exactly is a mid-cap fund? A mid-cap fund is a type of mutual fund that holds in its portfolio a mix of value of growth stocks, where the market capitalized on these stocks and generally between $2 billion and $10 billion. So the stocks in a mid-cap are normally $2 to $10 billion. All right, so I want to bring you guys. And that's what most people like about index and mutual funds. They are very open and transparent. You can see everything they're doing. Has a turnover ratio of 11%, which is really good. You can kind of go into performance and risk. The fees and distribution. This does give a dividend of 0.87%. So now this is FXMAX. Now my number 2 index fund is FXAIX, which is currently trading at $138.24. This is Fidelity's 500 index fund. This is a large blend. This is the top dogs, the Apples, the Microsoft, Facebooks. This dividends, and it pays a dividend yield of 1.51%. Large blend stocks are in the top 70% of the capitalization of the U.S. equity market, are defined as large caps, our big dogs. I want to bring you guys to how to compare these funds and what to look for. So now, once again, I'm going to go to Fidelity.com. I want to go to news and research. I want to go to mutual funds. This Fidelity is also free and open to anyone that goes to it. You don't have to have an account to look this up. All right, so now you can go to Fidelity funds. I'm going to go to index funds. I'm not going to put anything for the Morningstar rating. And go to view search. You're going to see that FXMAX, FSSNX, which is small cap index fund, and this one, the total market index. I can actually click this here. FXAIX is also here too. When you go to compare funds, I'm going to just do those 3. But if I wanted to add it, I can add it here. FXAIX. Alright, so now it comes up here. And they give like these like color codes to them. And so you can kind of track it here. So again, if you put in, this is a hypothetical $10,000 investment. So if you would have invested like in 2012 or 2016, if you invested $10,000, you'll be sitting with over $35,000 right now today. If I go into FXAIX, let's look at the performance is what I want, because let's get it straight. We're here to make money. Year to date is 6%, 1 year 31%, 3 years 14%, 5 years 16%, 10 years is 13%. This is a large blend, all right, and its expense ratio is 0.015. If you guys are wondering as far as with the percentage and are confused about that, you can put it right here. You could go just Google percentage calculator, and what is this, 0.015? You could actually just put it in. And like, let's say if you did $10,000, if you did investment at $10,000, little no money, $1.49, little no money. So don't worry about, as long as it's not what would be considered high as an expenses ratio, anything like a 1.5, 2.3, something like that. So that'll be considered high. So turnover ratio is 7%. The turnover ratio is how many times they had to flip their stocks, and which an index fund normally is 7-11%, which is really good. Mutual funds tend to be a higher turnover rate, but sometimes that's because they may be trading off different stocks, trying to get it to beat the S&P 500 or the market index. What mutual funds normally have a higher turnover rate. Index funds normally have a super low turnout. So 7%, 11% is really good. You can see the top dogs, of course, Apple. This is a large blend. So you're going to see the Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Tesla, and so forth. JP Morgan. Fund managers, of course. Stocks that are similar to it are here. So this is my number 2 guy on my list. So now, number 3, FXKAX. This is currently trading at $114.64. This is Fidelity's total market index fund. This is a large blend stock with a dividend yield of 1.36. Now, like I told you guys, index funds, Fidelity, Vanguard, and Schwab. Vanguard's is FSSNX and Schwab's is FWTSX. Now, people are saying Vanguard and Schwab, some of those have a minimum. Fidelity has a 0. You can start with a 0. You could put $10, $20, $100, $200 towards this index fund. A total market index fund. What is it? You're like, wait a minute, total market. All right, so just like the S&P 500, the large blend, I just FXAIX that I was telling you guys about, which is the S&P 500. This is a total market index fund. A total market index fund is a mutual fund or exchange traded that invests a basket of stocks passively, tracks the performance of a broad stock market, which the Dow Jones, the Russell 3000, the S&P 500 went shy of 5,000. So that's what a total market index fund is. And again, I want to bring you guys to the comparison. Now, when you guys come to Fidelity, you can, as I have my other 4 stocks here, you can actually add this one. Oh, did I already had this one? Oh yeah, you know what? This one already came up. This was already there for the comparison. As again, you see if you had 10,000, who is red? Red you'll have right at $35,000 had you put $10,000 in. Let's go into it. You can see that's a large blend. $114. Fund managers, top stocks, Apple, Microsoft. So you see that it mimics, it's pretty much the same top holdings as our other large blend, FXAIX. Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook. So large blends tend to mimic Johnson & Johnson, our big dogs. You can see the year to date, 6%, 1 year, 35%, 3 years, 14%, 5 years, 17%, which is pretty good. Now, my next Fidelity Index Fund top 5 are number 4, FSSNX. This is currently trading at $28.16. This is a small blend. Fidelity Small Cap Index Fund. Dividend yield of 0.83%. For those you don't know what is a small cap index fund, their companies they invest in are normally $300 million to $2 billion. Why would you diversify? Because something in small index funds, you're going to see the performance of this guy. You're going to see small index funds. You want to diversify so that sometimes you may have a change in the market. Sometimes you want to go with small caps so that they have a lot of room to grow. Some of these stocks that are $300 million to $2 billion may double, triple, and may bring you more returns. So what you want to look at, I want to go and compare this guy as well. So when you come to Fidelity, this was already on my list. When you do a search for best index funds in Fidelity, you'll come up with these guys, FSNX. Now remember, I am not a stock professional. This is my personal opinion as a disclaimer. Alright, so you can see the top holdings definitely differ from any large plans. You're not going to see the Microsoft, Facebook, Googles and stuff like that in here. You're going to see small cap funds. Let's look at the returns. First thing you want to see year to date, 12%, 51% for the year, 14 in 3 years, 18 and 14. This is a pretty good fund. Expense ratio of 0.026, really good. Turnover rate, you see 32% versus the 7 and the 11% in the other three examples that I just gave. This has a turnover ratio of 32%. This necessarily doesn't mean anything, that they're just trading out stocks. That's what stocks that they've traded out. And normally in large, small cap funds, that's what you're going to see. You can see this has 2,050 holdings. So these returns are very impressive. 14, 18, 14%. Those are pretty good. So now my fifth and final, however, I am going to combine two of them. FNILX, which is trading at $14.13. This is also a large blend. Dividends of 1.14. Large blend, however, thing about our zero index funds is they are at a zero expense ratio. I'm also just throw in FXAIX, which is 14.34. This is Fidelity's zero total market index fund, and this yields a dividend of 1.19. So let's check it out. And when you come to Fidelity, you're going to see it down here. I'm comparing it with the other three funds. Look at the expense ratio, zero. And it doesn't have a 3, 4, 5 year. It's very relatively new. So you're only going to see 1 year, which is 33%. However, the 33%, we all know that last year coronavirus took everything down, as you see that dip from last year. And so you're seeing a 33%. But however, check this, minimum to invest, 0. Expense ratio, 0. Expense gross, 0. No transaction fee, 0. Turnover rates, 5%. Alright, and it's typical large blend. You're going to see the Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Tesla, Apple, Johnson & Johnson, JP Morgan. So, those are my top 5 picks for index funds. However, you guys do your own research. Look into these index funds. If you're looking to invest, do your own research. That's a disclaimer. However, diversify. Try not to do 2, 3 large blends. They normally have the exact same top 10 holdings. Try to mix it up with an international, a large blend, mid cap, small cap, international funds. Anyway, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, subscribe to this channel, share this video. Anyway, peace.